The long, long struggle of ancient times finally ended. The victor sacrifices the vanquished to the heavens. 4 bells tolled, 4 torches were lit, and the world continued for thousands of years. Square Roots presents
Phantasy Star! The end of the millennium!
Hey everyone, and welcome to Square Roots, the classic RPG podcast. My name is Jim Banks. I am joined by Matthew Van Zant.
I'm Matthew Van Zant.
John Seed Brandon.
I hope I don't accidentally explode.
And Vanessa.
I'm Vanessa.
And this is a podcast where we play and talk about John's favorite classic RPG games.
Yay!
This episode, we're beginning our... How many parts is there in this series?
5.
Our 5-part series about Phantasy Star IV, the end of the millennium.
And now this is the most popular of the Phantasy Star games, right?
I'd say Phantasy Star Online is, but that would make a terrible podcast. Also,
I remember people playing PSO.
It's pronounced Fancy Star.
Fancy Star.
It's a Fancy Star.
Did I explain what this podcast is? I did, right?
It's like we're living in a time loop now. Everything is deja vu. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what day it is.
I know.
We play our favorite, my favorite JRPG, one Chunkarino at a time.
That's right. That's what we're missing. I didn't say the word Chunkarino.
Right. And this chunk is going to be from the beginning of the game until Seed blows up.
That's hilarious, by the way. I'm excited to talk about that.
And you meet a lovely cat girl named Rika.
Of course you do.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, before we get into the game proper, let's talk about how we may or may not have boringly leveled up. Who wants to go? You know what, Vanessa? You go first.
Oh, thanks. Well, right after we recorded last week, I went to brunch with some friends of mine to celebrate my birthday. And that is the only event that has happened to me in the past week. John, how did you level up?
I leveled up by playing a game called Gravity Rush 2 that I bought a few weeks ago. And that game it's very low-key, which I like. It feels like a portable game, because the first one was a Vita game, and it feels like that, like in terms of scope, and like not there's no real voice acting. They speak in like gibberish, and it looks like a kind of a platformy action game, but it controls like a flight simulator, and that is very difficult because it's the sort of game where if you stop playing it and play something else, you go back, you're like, what does this button do? It's gorgeous though. Like, I love the art style. It has the same kind of art style as Breath of the Wild, that kind of cel shaded, very polygony, but like low polygon but really cool shading, cartoony style. That looks awesome. And I don't know if I like Gravity Rush 2 or not. I think it's very charming, but it also feels like a budget game. And, Jim, how did you level up?
Well, I've been playing Ratchet and Clank on my PS4.
The remake of the original?
Yes.
How is it?
And it's super fun, and it looks really good.
Did you play the original when you were like 5?
No, I didn't. I played a lot of the offshoots though. Like, I played that really kind of crappy multiplayer one, and like one or two others. But And I've also been playing more PUBG. I also tried to play Halo 5, and I don't know, maybe I grew out of the Halo games a little bit. It's not very good.
I think that one's just not very good because, I was your age when I was playing Halo 3, and that one was pretty good, I thought.
I was playing Halo 1 very recently, like 2 or 3 weeks ago on the Xbox One, what was it called? The Master Chief Collection.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to admit, even with the, better visuals and stuff, the game design does not really hold up at all.
I think
there's a lot of where am I supposed to be? What am I doing? What?
The problem with the Halo series is it's one of those games that the depth only comes out when you're playing it on high difficulty, and it also becomes frustrating and hard at high difficulty.
I also played is Halo 6 the most recent one?
No, 5's the most recent one.
5's the most recent one?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a 6?
Yeah, that's the one I try to play, and it's not very good.
I'm sure
It's just not fun.
there will be a 6 at some point.
I'm not excited for that.
I don't like Halo. It just shooty.
Halo
Shooty pops.
Halo ODST was about walking around this city at night and the city is full of AI and it's trying to talk to you, but it can only talk to you using street signs and traffic lights, and it's really cool and super atmospheric.
Oh,
that
sounds
Is that
interesting.
the one with Nathan Fillion?
Yeah. And that's the one where you find all these voice logs about this girl who was friends with the city because she was the city's AI knew her. It's really cool. I'd say ODST is definitely the best Halo game.
Oh, I am mildly interested.
You still have to shooties, though.
I don't like to shooties. It's
Lots
boring.
of shooty pops.
I like to shooty pops if I can sneakify, and I sneak around, and then I shooty someone, and they're like, "What shot me?" But they're dead, and they never find out.
Okay. Well, Matthew, how did you level up?
Guys, the Olympics has started. It's Winter Olympics time, and I've been watching some curling.
Sure is.
I like curling and some skating and stuff. Are you guys watching the Olympics at all? John, do we have a rivalry since you're a Canada man and we're all USA peoples?
I don't watch the Olympics.
Oh.
Well, you know what, John? If you were American, I would have a problem with that. But you're Canadian, so I'm not shocked, and I don't care. Jim and Vanessa, my other USA friends, are we watching the Olympics?
I watched some figure skating.
I watched some figure skating, too. I watched a lady fall down a few times, which was kind of sad.
I've been watching doubles mixed curling, which is where it's 2-on-2 male-female instead of 4-on-4. And it's less ends and less points to win, and it is really fun. It's like bowling meets pool. It's fun to watch.
Matt.
Yes, ma'am.
Matt, if you were on a curling team, would you rather be the pusher or the sweeper?
You do both in a curling team. They take turns, so I would do both.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking what your preference would be.
The pushy person gets to scream at the sweepy person, so I would want to be the pushy person. The pushy person then stays on the ice and looks at it down the ice to make sure it's going the right way, and screams at the sweepy person to make sure it's doing that. So that's the person I want to be. I'll be the one that goes, left, stop, perfect.
Yikes.
I spent 2 hours trying to figure out how curling scoring worked the other night. I mean, I was also very drunk at the time, so it probably isn't as complicated as I assumed. Yeah, I did figure it out. It is actually kind of complicated. It's almost like it's like bocce ball or cornhole. These things start subtracting from each other. And anyway, so yeah, that's it. The Olympics. I like the Olympics. It's the once every 2 years that I can really be a nationalistic asshole. And I have something that I can be proud of that's coming out of this country. And that has not been true for a good long while. So I'm going to watch nice athletic people do nice athletic things and show the rest of the world America's still the best, even though we're not. And that's it for me.
Hey guys, you ready to start the quest log?
Oh,
yeah!
boy, am I.
All right.
Let's do it. John, you wanted to kick us off with some backstory.
I sure did. Just to catch y'all up on Phantasy Star 1 through 3.
Is this the fourth part of a story?
Yeah. But
Why are we playing the fourth one first?
Because the first one is an 8-bit, very, very difficult JRPG. The second one is a 16-bit, incredibly difficult JRPG. The third one doesn't have anything to do with the plot of the first two, really. So, this is a good one to start with. It's playable. It's got cool anime cutscenes. Well,
those are cool.
Manga cutscenes, but you know what I mean. All right, so Phantasy Star 1. Things were good in the solar system of 3 planets. Palma, Dazorus, and Motavia. But then things turned bad. This guy consolidated control and became emperor, like the Star Wars. And he started being mean and getting everyone into prison and, being a dictator and stuff. And a girl rose up and took him out by murdering him with her sword. Her name was Alys.
She sounds like a bad guy.
She somehow became queen after. I don't remember how that worked. I think she actually was the queen, and she didn't know her lineage or something.
So regicide works in this universe.
Exactly. Phantasy Star 2 takes place 1,000 years later.
What?
And in Phantasy Star 2, the solar system is super technologically cool and everyone's happy, but then monsters have been appearing, and it turns out the desert planet Motavia has been turned into this nice lush green planet by Mother Brain, which controls everything and no one has to work or do anything. But it's going crazy and releasing monsters, and it turns out Mother Brain has been corrupted and eviled by this thing called Dark Force. And Dark Force was also the thing that made the Emperor Lashik bad in Phantasy Star 1.
Is it really called Mother Brain?
Yeah, it is. So, Dark Force came back, made everything bad again. He was the one who made everything bad in the first place. You kill Dark Force, but that kills Mother Brain too, and Mother Brain was the thing that made the planet livable, so everyone's kind of screwed. And also, during this whole event, terrorists blow up the first nice planet, Palma, which is bad, because Palma's the green planet, Motavia's the desert planet, and Dazorus is the ice planet. And the green planet got blowed up in Phantasy Star 2. And that's the end of Phantasy Star 2. Also, at the end of Phantasy Star 2, your characters are all, held hostage, and you don't know what's going to happen to them, and they never resolve that. It looks like they're all going to be killed, which is a downer ending. Phantasy Star 3 takes place on what looks like a fantasy, swords and horses kind of world, but you quickly find out you are on a colony ship that ejected out of Palma before it blew up. And this Phantasy Star 3 actually takes place at the same time as this game, because it's 1,000 years after Phantasy Star 2, as is this game.
Is that why it's called the end of the millennium?
It is. It seems like Dark Force keeps coming back every 1,000 years.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's a real jerk. He's a real Cthulhu.
Does he like to show up and party like it's 1999?
Yes. Yes, he does. Or 999. Or 29999.
I see. So he's sort of a perennial.
Yeah. 1,000-year perennial. And that is my recap of the previous Phantasy Star games. There's a lot more to them, but I just to give you an idea of what happened.
Well, this game opens on 2 of our main characters, Alys, Brangwyn, and Chaz Ashley.
Did we name the quest log this time?
No.
I don't know what to name it.
It's just the quest log. It's
Quest
just the
log.
normal quest log.
Quest log.
Quest log.
It's my favorite part of the show. It's where we talk about the game and not our
That's
boring
right.
lives. The quest log.
The quest log.
So Alys, Brangwyn, and Chaz Ashley, they are
Wait.
hunters?
Can I there's one thing that we got to discuss right out the gate. This is very important,
Yeah.
guys. This dude's name is Chaz.
He's the worst.
Yeah.
With a fucking Z. Chaz.
And he looks like
Yeah.
he looks like a Chaz too.
He
That,
does look like a Chaz.
that dumb blonde
He's
hair.
got dumb blonde hair.
I like how everybody makes fun of him.
He's an idiot.
Yeah. He's stupid.
Is he the protagonist of this game? Is it Alys? Is it all of them? Who's the protagonist?
It's Chaz.
Chaz.
Unfortunately, it's Chaz because Alys way
It's
cooler.
Chaz.
Do any of these games have a female protagonist?
Yeah, Phantasy Star 1.
It's very progressive.
But Alys is on, like, at least she's definitely the Han Solo. You know, she's number 2. She's right up there.
And she's not taking any lip from Chaz.
I mean, I have not played very far into this game, obviously. I didn't even make it as far as we were supposed to. But she hasn't died yet, but I kind of assume she will.
Monster.
I mean,
Monster.
that seems to be the role she's in. Mentor to be deadified to make you go, no!
Now it's personal.
Yeah. I mean, it's that or a girlfriend, and I'd rather be
I don't
the
know.
mentor.
I mean, up to this point, they haven't
no
really
other
established Chaz very much. Like, Alys has like 7,000 times more lines than Chaz does.
Okay, you cannot determine who is the protagonist of an RPG by how many lines they have.
That is
and
true.
we all know
That's
that.
true.
That's true. Everybody talks about Chrono like he's the protagonist, though. Nobody gives a shit about Chaz.
Chaz has one line that he often repeats, maybe with some variation, whenever he looks into someone's cupboard, and he seems pretty preoccupied with underwear. He often comments about how much underwear is in there, what type of underwear is in there, whose underwear is in there, how he feels about the underwear that is in there.
I don't feel good about
That's
that
Chaz.
fact that I didn't know.
Yeah.
Also, if you
Start looking in cabinets.
If you go to status order, I think you can switch people around, and there's different messages if you put different people in the front. Although
Oh, really?
I think when you search stuff, it's always Chaz's comments. I think.
Chaz.
Yeah.
It's also really frustrating when I kept hitting the interact button when there was nothing to interact with, and rather than just not doing nothing, some dialogue would pop up and say, "Don't do that. There's nothing here." And it's like you could just say nothing.
That's why I like switching to not Chaz, because Chaz requires 2 button presses. Well, I think Grizz only requires 1 if you put him in the front.
That's true.
So put someone else. There's actually a gameplay element to order too, because whoever's in the front gets attacked. It's basically most to least. So you want to put whoever has the best armor or highest hit points in the front, and the weakest person in the back.
I didn't realize that you could do that at all.
It doesn't tell you. You got to go to. It's one of the menu.
Does that determine the order that they go into?
No, that's character speed.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right.
Yeah.
You know what, John? That should be the subtitle of this game. Is They didn't tell you.
Yeah, there's so much they don't tell you in this game.
Yeah, I can see, just having jumped into it, I can see how, little baby Matt was, playing this game and was like, I don't understand what the fuck is happening. And it's got swords and cat ladies, and these are things I like, but no thank you, hard pass.
They also invented a totally new language to describe the things in this game, and nothing makes any sense.
It's true. Speaking of babies, I have never played this game before. How about you, Jim?
I have not.
Matt?
I have not.
You know what that makes all 3 of us?
Little baby,
fresh eyes.
fresh eyes.
Oh no!
John, tell us
is
about the game.
I see it for first time. I'm
It's
so
all so new.
confused.
John, find my feet,
shiny
John.
and new,
God, I bet
Johnny.
you can't find my feet to
John.
tickle them.
John, I'm hungry.
John is crying and sweating now.
Oh, I never thought I would have to deal with this.
All right, guys, I got good news. We got 0 listeners right now. We can say whatever we want. Nobody's listening.
This game starts like an RPG because Chaz is asleep and someone wakes him up.
And it's
Wait,
Alys.
is that how it opens?
Yeah. He done be sleeping
Oh.
in Igo. Or whatever city he's in. I always forget.
So Alys tells him that he's been promoted. He's like a full-fledged hunter partner now.
Yay!
Yay.
Yay! Good job, Chaz.
We're also told that they have their next job, and it's in Piata, which is the town of learning.
There's a lot of Spanish names in this game and in all the previous ones.
Yeah.
And that's why like the currency is meseta, which is like pennies in Spain. Until they
I had
that's
no
cool.
idea.
adopted the EU money, I think.
The game is kind enough to walk us to the next town, which is fun.
Yeah. It just gives you a nice little cut, a heroic cutscene of them looking over the horizon as the sun rises, and tells you that there's lots of monsters that are appearing more and more, and also the land is decaying and becoming desert again.
So good
I was
times
so
all around.
confused by this cut. I was like, did I miss something?
Nope.
Because it cuts from the historic scene to Chaz standing in this academy, and he goes, "Oh no, I wandered around the academy too much. Oh, I'm lost."
But like Alice is like 10 feet away from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's standing right there.
I like how they're
Chaz
going
is really
to
into the idea of going to school, and Alice is just like, whatever.
She's mad that he's really interested in looking around. He's like, "Wow, a university!" And she's like,
Yeah, except for
"Shut
he
up,
calls it
idiot."
a town of learning.
Mhm.
I love the fact that it's we're going to the fucking learning town, guys. we don't have a word for this. We had to make one up. So learning town.
Unfortunately, this game's translation is not very good.
Oh,
it's like,
I'm here for it. This is some fucking grade A bullshit that I
it's some
love.
Secret of Mana level poor translation.
Once you get to the school and you wander around, did you guys all find the statue?
Of Dr. Lubitz?
The statue of the god of learning?
Dr.
Dr.
Yes.
Lubitz. God of learning. Dr. Lubitz. That is some fucking
That is a great name for a god.
He is the one who helps build you I think a spaceship or a tank. He builds you a spaceship in Phantasy Star 1.
Birth
I see.
Valley.
That seemed like a callback.
Yeah, it was a callback.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah. All right.
We go and talk to the principal.
The
We are sent right to the principal's office.
ominous principal.
Mm-hmm.
Things seem a little sketchy.
And he tells you there's a bunch of monsters in the basement.
Another classic RPG trope.
Mhm.
Yeah. Remember in the Bard's Tale when we did that in the Bard's Tale?
I do.
Why you bring that up?
Another classic RPG moment.
I love how sinister the music gets when you talk to the principal, and he's shocked. Like, it does the first anime or manga cutscene of him looking very shocked when you ask why there's monsters in the basement. He's like, I don't know anything about that.
I believe him.
You also get a lot of scientists telling you how bad the planet is doing because of the collapsing systems.
Mm-hmm. They have a real climate change problem.
It's becoming a desert, which is bad for everybody.
So we go to the basement and we meet my least favorite character so far, which is Han.
How could you not?
Oh, I like him.
He's the Jim Banks of the game.
Shut
What?
No.
Yeah, he's totally the Jim Banks of the game.
Why is he the
How is
Jim
he
Banks
nice
of the
guy?
game?
of the game? Did you read my
He's
notes? I gotta change my
handsome.
notes now.
He's educated.
Uh-huh.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
All prominent Jim Banks traits.
Yeah. He has brown hair and brown eyes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I described him in my notes as a weak-ass little boy who sucks at fighting.
Well, I mean, I've never seen you in a fight, Jim. I guess you have some reach, but I don't really, like, it's not the first thing that comes to mind with Jim is, like, aggression or physical confrontation or, in fact, confrontation of any kind.
Yeah, I'm a nice guy.
Yeah, you're a Han. You're a real Han. So he wants to, like, go down with you and see what's going on. But Alice is like, yeah,
Go down on you?
no,
Yeah.
with you. But Alice is like, oh yeah, we'll totally bring you down there for a price. And this
This is one of my favorite parts about this part of the playthrough is that Alice is constantly shaking him down for money whenever they have to do something.
Yeah. Well, he's the only one of them who has like a real job, right?
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
Hunter is a job, but he's been to college. He's a professor.
Yeah, but we're like mercenaries.
She knows he has that good salary.
And he's also saving for his wedding, and she is totally draining his wedding fund bit
Well,
by
Yes,
bit.
I
he
like how
comments
he
on that a
laments
few
that
times.
later in the
Maybe
episode.
maybe she has feelings for him and doesn't want him to marry this woman, so she's trying to.
I don't think she does. She does
He would
not
sabotage.
express any interest in Han. She just likes
No.
commenting how he doesn't know how to fight, and if he tries to go out by himself, he will get murderfied by monsters.
She likes to nag him and take his money. Classic woman, am I right?
Oh no, she is a real gold digger.
No, she's not. She's just a professional, and he really does bring the team down because you have to make sure he doesn't get killed all the time because he's
I mean,
so
that's
weak.
All the time. He has no hit points and he has a dagger.
Yeah.
So we go to the basement and we find a bunch of test tubes that, like, they're growing monsters down there, which is pretty suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
And it's boss
So
battle
we decide
time.
to go talk to that lame-o principal about it.
We're not going to talk about the fight.
Yeah, there's a boss battle.
There's a boss fight down
Yeah.
there?
I mean, you could
who's
say
the
it's the
boss?
first real boss battle of the game.
I think
Who's
it's
the boss?
It's Judith Light. Tony Danta is her employee. So
But she's a woman.
I think that the translation calls it the xenophage, but I think they mean xenophage. And it is just like this tentacle. Looks like a big tentacle head, and it's fighting it's fighting against you while spitting out little weird, gross brain monsters.
Oh, that thing. I like the way these things look.
Yeah, you get to
These things look like Cthulhu's.
a little bit. And you learn a bit of the game mechanics here. Like Alys has a weapon that will sweep across all the enemies.
Yeah.
And you have techniques, you have magic and techniques. Techniques are the ones that they do very specific kind of damage or will kill people instantly, and magic sort of just does magic attacks, and some of them are single person and some of them are multiple enemies, and it doesn't use like fire and water. It uses like gravity and lightning, and you have to sort of
Foy?
figure out. Yeah, foy. Well, I guess that is fire. Actually, never mind.
It's a
That totally is
fireball.
fire. Yeah, it's a little fireball you shoot.
Is that what that is? It's all very confusing. They all have weird names.
Yeah, you just-
I figured out the healing spell is res.
Yeah.
Yes, and there's Ryuka, which I think transports you to the last or to a list of towns you've been to, and there's Highness, which gets you out of a dungeon. That one's super useful. You can also get those in item form. Escapipe will get you out of a dungeon, and that is
Telepipes.
is it telepipes? No, it's escapipes get you out of the dungeon, and telepipes get you to whatever town you want to go to.
Yeah.
And I recommend having lots of those because getting out of dungeons is really useful because their dungeons are really hard in this game, basically.
I bought a bunch of those things.
Yeah, it's good to have a few. Like you only need like 4.
You don't tell me what I need.
Well, you only have 3 pages of inventory, so you don't want to overdo it.
That's true. I played this entire game with only one of the potions, though. Oh, although they don't call them potions, they call them something esoteric and stupid.
Monomate,
Monomates.
which is the low end potion, and then there's dimate, middle end potion, and trimate, which is the high end potion.
How many bullshit fake languages am I going to have to learn over the course of this show?
Oh, so
Because
many.
now I know all about fucking Foy, and I'm already too familiar with Augie and
Yep.
Faraga, and like, god damn it.
I think it's Watt and Foy. If you use those together and no other spells, you can do a blizzard attack, which does crazy damage to all the enemies.
Ooh.
So, and that's something that you can program with macros, which we should also talk about at some point.
Yikes.
Now, I really like the idea of macros. I don't think it's even that complicated. You just you give each of your characters a set thing to do.
Yeah,
So
it's
you
for
hit
grinding.
it, and it gets it does all of them. Bam, bam, bam. So
Yeah.
everybody attacks. You just have to hit the button once, and everybody attacks. I love that. Shorten it up.
Yeah.
I think they had something kind of similar to that in Bravely Default, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that way it just gets you through the fights really fast. Like the basic one is everyone fights, but you can have one where, say people cast. You could have one where it puts defense stuff on everybody. You can have ones that set up the combination spells. Like I think it's Wat Zen Foy does a Tri-Blaster where it uses 3 elemental attacks, and that one, any of the combination spells right now will insta-kill whatever you're fighting, even bosses. So it's good to just look up combination spells and see what you can do so far, because as soon as you can do them, it's just a cheat to get through hard fights, which is good because the game is pretty difficult.
On the one hand, I really appreciate the depth that I see here, and on the other, the fact that they don't in any way, shape, or form explain this to you is infuriating and makes me want to punch whoever made this game.
In the manual, it does explain the first two. I think it explains the Tri-Blaster and the Blizzard.
You know what? I bet I can find a PDF of the manual. I'll put it on the Facebook page when this comes out.
Well, actually, just put the RPG. I'll put the RPG Classics because that explains the combination spells and is pretty useful.
Yeah, but manuals are fun. I bet I can put a PDF of the manual up.
Okay.
So what happens next, Jim?
So we go back to the principal's office, and he tells you that he knows a little bit about what's going on, and he knows that the problem is originating in a place called Birth Valley.
I mean, that's fine. Birth Valley is totally fine.
There's a great line here that I have to again, we were talking about translations, and this is a little paraphrase, but he says, I think it's Chaz. It has to be Chaz because he's so stupid. He says, Birth Valley, they call that the Valley of Life. And I was like, was that supposed to clarify the name of the place? What are you talking about?
What's wrong, Vanessa?
Well, I'm just having these flashbacks to Bean Valley.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not making jokes about
good.
anatomy.
It's just a normal valley.
You're talking about translations and stuff, and there's one thing in here that I've noticed, and I bet Vanessa can relate. You know what, guys? I fucking hate periods.
What?
Periods?
What? Excuse me? What's happening?
Like, when
Who
I'm
said
typing out a
this?
message, I just sometimes feel like a period is too aggressive of a stop.
Oh.
Anyway, I don't know what that was about, but Birth Valley. That sounds like vagina, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess this is progress because y'all are acknowledging the miracle of life and childbirth and all of that.
All right. So we're off to Pussy Town.
No.
He also mentions that this magician came to him and was threatening him. What was that all about?
I am very interested in this magician. He sounds handsome.
The dark magician Zeo. So he's like an electric
Yeah.
attack, right?
And he's like a Kylo Ren wide boy type.
Mm-hmm. With the most giantest shoulders you've ever seen.
Ooh,
It's like
broad.
He cracked a giant sphere into 2 halves and then put them over his shoulders.
Vanessa, if you cast Mazio, you can get more than one at a time.
Oh.
Yeah, the principal says that this guy Zeo threatened to turn him to stone if he said anything about rescuing the people that they sent to Birth Valley.
Okay, all right. So why did the principal call for the hunters in the first place?
Because there's monsters in the basement.
But he knows that if somebody goes down there, they're going to find out about what's going on, and that he's not allowed to let anybody find out what's going on.
He was going to try and talk his way out of it, but he didn't realize that he is terrible at lying. That's my guess.
All right.
Yeah, he folded under pressure.
Yeah. He seems like maybe the worst negotiator and easiest folding person ever.
Yeah.
Other than Jim Banks Hahn.
So we're told now that we have to go to we should go to Zima, which
Ooh,
is where I
refreshing
think
Zima.
they sent the research party.
It's so cool and crisp and different.
It's so funny to me. It's the only game I could think of where you because it's turn-based, but it shows them run up to attack or whatever.
Yeah.
But what that translates to is you are just constantly looking at your characters' butts as they are swinging their sword or whatever.
Those are some lovingly rendered butts, too.
They really are.
Okay.
So we're off to Zima, and everybody has been turned to stone.
Well, you stop by.
Oh no!
I stopped by Mile, which is like this small town on the way.
Oh, I did that
What kind
too.
of name is Mile for a town? Come on.
I'm sure there's a real town called Mile.
What if it's
I would-
Malay?
It could be.
Yeah. What if it's a mill?
Yeah.
And this
What if it's Miley?
the real point of
I
Mile.
like that.
There's two things there.
Miley.
One is the guy has a dune-style sandworm farm where he's raising sandworms.
For what purpose?
Oh, he thinks he's going to make a profit out of it somehow.
Spice is a very popular product.
Yeah, he thinks that they're going to attract a lot of tourists.
Yeah. That and you also see that basically the climate control is going nuts and sand is taking over this farming town to the point where
I like how there's a lady in the back of that village who's just constantly sweeping. And she said, every time I sweep up all the sand, there's more sand.
and there's a sad like if you talk to one of the students in the university town, this guy's like, I'm not getting any money from my parents anymore, and that's kind of worrying. And you talk to his parents and like, yeah, we don't have any crops anymore, so we can't send any money. His parents are in this town.
Bummer.
Yeah. So this planet is going real bad.
What did you do? What else is there to do in this town? I think I bought some new weapons.
Yeah, you can get some slashers for Alice so she can throw 2 boomerangs at once.
So
You
you
could
should get 2.
It depends.
Oh, you can put 2 things in her hands?
Yeah, you can totally put 2 things in her hands.
Whoa!
You can equip double weapons. You can equip 2 shields. Like if you want to give Han 2 shields, he won't be able to fight, but he'll have way more defense. So that can help keep him alive if that's an issue. Or you could give Han
I
2
had no
hunting
idea.
knives and make him attack twice. Although usually the more powerful sword for Chaz is better than giving him 2 knives, but it kind of depends on what the latest weapon is.
I couldn't even figure out how to
Again.
tell the stats of the weapons.
You can't. That is
You don't know until you go to equip them.
Yeah, basically until you equip them. So basically you're looking at the names and seeing if they're new.
I appreciate the fact that this is a very, very old game, so I'm trying not to like get really mad about these design choices because I'm like, this is kind of the era when they were still figuring these things out.
Yeah.
But I can also, it's okay to be really frustrated about it.
This came out the same year as Final Fantasy VI, which had all that you could see if stuff was better or worse. And so, it came out literally like the same years in Japan. So, it feels a little behind comparatively.
It's very ambitious, though, in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, this has got well, I said it earlier. It seems to have a lot of depth. We'll see.
Yeah.
I didn't get further than the town of Miley, so this is all going to be new to me now. Take me on a journey.
So you go to Zima to see what happened over in Birth Valley, and they're all stoned, dude. They all rock the 420.
Oh.
420 life, right?
Yeah, the whole town has been turned to stone, I guess, probably by Zio, because that seems to be his MO. Did you all find the kids that weren't?
Yeah, they were in the basement.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't find those kids.
And you'll notice
Shit, you left those kids to die?
Yep, they're dead.
Well,
Jim,
the
what the
parents,
fuck?
if in the upstairs, the parents are standing by the stairs down to the basement, so it's obvious they were trying to protect their kids.
Ugh.
Aw.
That's really fucked
And-
up, John.
Yep, but the kids are still alive, and I don't know if they have food or what.
I mean,
They're like-
in your game, those kids are still alive. In
They're like,
Jim's
"Mom
game, those kids
and-
are dead.
Mom and Dad were trying to save us and told us to go downstairs, and we are scared because a mean magician showed up.
Jim, what's next?
Okay, so we see everybody turn to stone. Alice says she knows of a cure called Alschlein.
Mm-hmm.
What? Come on, that's not a word.
I know. I was under the impression that a lot of these things were just being misspelled.
So it's just the magician guy is turning everybody to stone?
Yeah.
There's not like
Yeah.
a basilisk on the loose?
I don't think so.
This feels like a real
This is
Medusa
the only
situation.
spell he knows.
You had to travel to Motavia previously to get the Alschlein in Phantasy Star 1. So this is a callback.
Oh, Throwback Thursday.
Yeah.
So you're told that you need to go get this Ausschlein and you need to go to Molcom to get it. Mm-hmm. But you go to Molcom and everything's been burned down by Zio.
Yeah. Molcom, they don't really express it well, but it is a town for those little mouse bird people. It's not a human town.
That's what Grizz is talking about later.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought they were sort of owls.
Okay,
I thought they were owls too.
Let's call them blue owls then.
I don't know that I'd even noticed any other races. Is that a thing in there? I mean, I know we've got a cat lady.
Yeah,
but
there are other races, yeah.
Yeah, like I don't remember seeing anybody but humans at the academy.
That's because you've barely played this game, Matt.
All right, sorry.
Each planet has their own race. Palma has the humans, Motavia has the owls, and Dazorus has like lizardy dudes.
What has its own race?
Owlter Space.
Planet?
Each planet, yeah.
They're from Owlter Space.
Yes, Owlter Space.
Oh.
But we are on we've taken over the mouse people or owl people's planet and then made it all green.
No. Oh, I see. So are the humans from the planet what explode?
Yeah, humans are from Splody planet.
Okay.
There's a
And then
Splody planet,
And they made this planet all like nice to live on it.
but now it's broken.
that's
Wasn't
nice.
it nice already if the owls were already living there?
It was deserty.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. So we meet a super cool ponytailed mysterious man.
His name is Rune.
Ooh, I thought that was the coolest name when I was a teenager for some reason.
Is it R-U-N-E or is it R-O-O-N?
Rune.
I bet it would have been a lot less cool if it was R-O-O-N, though, right?
Unlike Alys, who's supposed to be a master hunter, but it's only a few levels higher than Chaz, this guy is crazy high level and has all the MP and all the hit points and is super powered.
He's at least 10 levels higher than everybody else.
Yeah.
I also like the idea of young John being so enamored with this name that he asks his friends to call him that instead of John.
No, but I think I was making my D&D world, and I think I called it Rune.
Oh, nice.
Ugh.
That's a good name for a D&D world.
Yeah.
though. So Rune forces himself into our party, and he tells us that we need to go to Toho, but we make a stop first at Krupp.
Mm-hmm. He also is a real jerk to Chaz. He's like,
He is. He makes fun of Chaz for being short and stupid.
yeah, he's like, oh, Chaz, that's your name, huh? What a dumb name. And frankly, I agree with Rune. It is a dumb name. And also, Alys knows this guy, so they have some kind of history.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get any romantic vibes between the two of them, Vanessa?
I did. I thought that she was happy to see him, and he was kind of like, it is me. And Chaz is all, ugh.
Do you think Chaz has a thing for Alys?
No, I think he's just being a dill.
He's probably
Okay.
just some sort of virginal douchebag that's like, you know, he's probably like some sort of fantasy game protagonist.
I think he might be. But he gets really
So,
weird.
did you guys
that
go to Krupp? Do we have to go to Krupp?
You-
I went to Krupp.
You don't have to, but I like to, because that turns... Han really does not want to go there. And everyone's like, yeah, but we should still go there. And Han's like, yeah, but let's not go there, maybe. And then everyone's like, actually, Leia, it's right there. It's on the way. We should really go to Krupp.
Yeah, Krupp is Han's hometown,
Yep.
where you can go speak to his terribly abusive parents,
Uh-huh.
who have disowned him for wanting to learn about science.
Instead of being an armorer, like they make really good armor. Although their armor is not actually really good, because if you go to the next town after spending all your money on armor here, it turns out the next town armor way better.
That's what I did.
That's what I did too, because I forgot.
But you can not only speak to Han's parents, you can also go to the house at the north end of the village and meet Han's fiance, whose name is Saya.
She's nice.
Yeah, and there's a really funny thing that happens is when she introduces herself, she waves her arms and like sparkles fly out.
Mm-hmm. And she is taking care of all the kids in the town, and she is their teacher, and they all have crushes on her.
Mm-hmm.
Even the girls.
Yeah, they all want to be her, and boys want to marry her.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And you can go through her underwear drawer.
I didn't do that. Is that something I should be doing more?
I like looking through the shelves in this game because basically, anytime you're at a named character's home, there's lots of special messages if you look at their books, and everyone's bookshelves usually tell you something about the people, even if they aren't named characters. It's kind of cute.
I haven't been doing that. I think I accidentally interacted with some flowers on an innkeeper's desk once, and Chaz just said, "These are nice flowers."
But every bookshelf, like I think there's in the schoolhouse, there's books about Sonic and books about Golden Axe and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
What does the book about Sonic say?
It just says there's a book about a blue hedgehog who's really fast. It's a children's
He's
book.
In the
got
year
to go
1410, the blue hedgehog appeared.
There's children's books. They're just for kids.
The robot Eggman that followed sowed destruction across the galaxy or whatever.
And yeah, you can. So you know how Chaz always says it's not nice to look through other people's cabinets, which I think he means drawers and not cabinets, but that's a translation issue. But he says, but in this case,
Underwear.
but Alice is like, stop that, and
Yeah.
chastises
And then
him.
he leaves a little gift in their underwear drawer.
Oh no.
Ew.
It's ejaculate. He comes
She
in there.
does not let him do that. Alice shuts down any underwear looking.
No, well, good for her.
Yeah.
You know, it's always nice to realize I'm a creep who looks in underwear drawers, but at least there's somebody around to stop me from doing that.
Alice's shutting down skills get real good.
So we go through Krupp. Don't buy the stuff there.
Nope.
Next we go to Toho, and
Tono.
we go to on our way to Toho. We have to like enter this cave.
Is it Tono or is it Toho? Maybe it is Toho. Oh yeah, I think you're
it's
right.
Toho.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, so we go to Toho. To get there, we have to go through a cave, and this is when I kind of hit my what's the word I'm looking for? My tolerance level with all this made up word bullshit is because Rune has to cast a spell in order to open the cave, and he says the word flaily. So I was like, come on, just say you cast fire magic. And this is where he lets everybody know that magic still exists because he cast a spell and he's also a wizard.
Mm-hmm. He's the handsomest blue-haired wizard ever.
Mm-hmm. So we enter Toho, which is a village filled with, John calls them mice with beaks. I think of them as owls with smaller eyes.
Okay.
But we got to go see a guy named Grandfather Doran.
Oh, they're kind of bluish, right? Was the old lady in Mile an owlish person? The one that was sweeping and was like, the sand keeps coming.
No, that was
She
a
may
human
have been.
lady. I think that was a human lady.
Oh.
I think.
Well, yeah, these are like blue owl people, and Grandfather Doran seems to know a lot about everything, even Alice's measurements.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the shadow broker of Motavia.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he's like, do you want me to tell you about this? First he can tell you about he's got some
He says
really
he says
dumb
one
facts.
thing, and then you can say no, and then he's like, you want me to tell you about refining titanium?
Ah, yes.
And you say no, and then he's like, you want to hear about Alice Brangwen's measurements? And I was like, yes.
So he starts listing them off, and then there's a great animation of her punching an old owl man. Which is awesome.
So you speak to this guy, and Rune is really happy to be here because I guess this Doran guy has something that he wants.
Right.
So, and he tells you that he does in fact have Alshline, but it's in the warehouse in the back.
And you think this is going to be just an easy go to the warehouse in the back, but no, this is the hardest dungeon in this section.
Yeah.
That dungeon is tricky.
But you do get some help here because even though Rune leaves the party, a big, handsome owl man joins, and his name is Grizz.
Ooh, and he's so big and handsome.
He's really powerful. He uses a big two-handed axe.
Mm-hmm.
This is also the point in the game where I did my first little piece of grinding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the
I did
warehouse
enough-
is great for that.
I did enough grinding so that I could buy everybody new equipment before going to the warehouse. So I went back to those caves.
Oh, okay.
And I did enough grinding to get everybody to around level 8 or 9, and then got like 5,000 Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
And then went and bought everybody new equipment.
Yeah. And you get good money for old equipment too, which is useful. I like that.
Yeah, you do.
I hate it when games are like, we'll give you 10 Mesetas for this, or 10 GPs for these $8,000 armors. And I think you're making a killing off me on this.
Mm-hmm. They totally are.
And also I like that because this town has maybe the worst music of any town I've ever heard, but it has tons of stalls, and most of them won't talk to you because you are human, and they don't like humans, what make the planet all weird and give monsters and stuff. They're super against humans.
Yeah, yeah. So we can go now to the warehouse, which is underground, which kind of makes it a basement. I don't know that it's a warehouse at this point.
Yeah.
It's a rusty old warehouse door.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and Grizz knows the secret to opening it, which I guess is kind of jiggling it until it opens.
Mm-hmm.
And we go down there, and John is right. This place is pretty hard. There's some new enemy types here, which are like the fungus guys.
Mm-hmm. And the froggy guys.
And the froggy guys. I also, there are those like pink blob enemies.
Oh yeah, those guys are hard.
They have low HP, but they can do a lot of damage to your party members.
And they can also divide themselves, I think, if you don't kill them fast enough.
Oh, really? I haven't run into that yet. So yeah, I mean, it's not like I haven't found this game to be very difficult yet. Maybe because I did do the grinding,
right?
But yeah, some enemies are surprisingly powerful. Like especially with Stupid Hahn, if he gets hit more than once or more than twice in a battle, he's usually dead.
Yeah, that's why you might want to, instead of giving him, because you can give him 2 knives and that makes him an okay attacker, but you're better off just giving him 2 shields and having him heal. That way he won't die all the time.
Yeah, I gave him a knife and a shield, and he's healing.
Yeah.
But we get through the warehouse, and we eventually find the Alshline.
Mm-hmm.
And right next to the Alshline is one of those cool escape pipes.
Yay!
That lets us get out of the dungeon.
I was like level 5 or 6 when I hit this, and I went from level 5 to level 9 trying to go through this. I had to do it a couple of times.
By the way, it takes a lot to level up your characters in this game.
Yeah.
It seemed like I did like 60 battles before someone would level up. It's a lot.
Yeah. It's a grindy game. It's definitely, an older JRPG that is grind focused.
So we go, I guess we get the Alshline.
Mm-hmm.
We go back to the city. What's the name of that city again? Zima?
Well, first, wait, before you go, you get Grizz's backstory here. He is from Molcom, the town that got blowed up by Zio, and that killed his parents, and he wants to go with you because he wants to kill Zio. And Rune at this point tells you, hey, by the way, kid, if you're thinking of killing Zio, don't do that. You aren't ready. And Chaz is like, what? Why would I kill Zio? But Rune seems to know something you don't. And Grizz really is up for killing Zio too. But Alice is like, yeah, that's not our mission. Our mission is just to rescue the people from Birth Valley. And then she laughs because Birth Valley is a funny name. So Grizz is in your party to avenge Zio, and he's coming along with you.
Yep.
Okay.
So we need to go back to, is Zima the stone city?
And a delicious drink.
I was gonna say.
Oh yeah, it is
that
Zima.
name sounds familiar.
So yeah, we go back to Zima. We cure everybody of their stone affliction, and we meet the professor.
The professor? Oh, Professor Bearsley.
Yeah, he is a big burly bearded professor man.
Ooh, hi, Professor.
And he tells you that it's time to. Well, first he makes Chaz do a bunch of stuff because I guess Chaz is his assistant.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's a great scene though when you are putting the Ausline on everybody. You get this manga cutscene of everybody like breaking out of the stone that was encasing them.
Yeah, that's really funny.
And the family that was protecting the kids, they're fine, and the kids are fine. Nobody's starved to death, Matthew. So back to Zima.
Yeah, we cure everyone of their stone skin affliction, and then we run right into the bio plant.
Well, because basically the guy that you save, at first he seems kind of happy that you saved him, and then he's like, "I'm going to go back into studying this," even though it's kind of bad. And the whole town is real mad about people going into the Birth Valley because it's like sacred apparently, and you shouldn't be going in there. And also, Zio told people not to go in there. So we are like going against sacred traditions and evil magician man.
Yeah, I like this professor guy.
He's a real asshole.
He's very assertive.
The whole reason you go back in is because he disappears, right?
Yeah, he's one of those stone. Like, there's a bunch of stone people around a door at the bottom of the Birth Valley, and you go free him, and then you just kind of keep going through this door,
and
it turns into like this futuristic, like techno setting.
That's not what happens at all, Jim.
That's not what happens.
What a liar! What a
You free
disgusting
him,
liar he is.
And he's kind of happy that you freed him. Then you go back up and like hang out at the inn, and they're like, "Well, I guess we should go back."
Oh, that's right. Everybody takes a day to just cool their heels.
Yeah, they're just chilling.
Is that
Yeah.
is that where Rune leaves? Does he leave you at Tono, or does he leave you at?
No, he leaves at Toho.
Okay,
Before
Toho.
Grizz enters the party.
Yeah, he says that he left something with that old man, and they're gonna go get it.
Right, right, and that's where he tells you not to go after Zio
Right.
or Zio.
Did the old man raise Rune and the lady? Is that what's happening?
I don't think so.
They know him for sure.
Yeah, well,
If
he knows her
raised
measurements.
her, that's weird. He's talking about her boobs and her butt.
A little bit. That's the kind of some Woody Allen stuff going on there.
Have we run into anyone yet who refers to her as the 8-stroke warrior?
No, but I do like that we're slowly getting her list of most dangerous things you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And what is number 2? It's like talking about her bust or something.
Yeah.
But her nickname is the 8-stroke warrior.
Yeah.
No, it's a sword. I think that's a sword thing. It's not a.
Is it?
Yeah,
Is it?
I think
No.
so. That's
It's
how
got
I
nothing
interpret
to
I
it.
do with
thought maybe
swords.
it's because her measurements are so great that all it takes is 8 strokes.
I don't think so, but I think you're going pervier than me on this one.
8 strokes.
Whoa.
8 strokes. 8 strokes in Birth Valley. Is that what guys are talking about?
So, does someone come back to you and say that he disappeared, or did they hear screams? They heard screams.
They hear screaming.
Right.
Yeah, and they run, and one of those like those Lovecraft-looking monsters pops
Yeah,
out.
it's a real Cthulhu.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Tentacle Mouth.
Yeah, these things, like the way they draw it in like the little manga cutscene is actually pretty freaky.
It kind of looks like Zoidberg's head.
It does kind of with like 1,000 little tentacles underneath.
Yeah.
It's pretty gross.
And so
we have to kill this thing. Is this technically another boss battle?
Yeah. This is the only. Is there a third boss battle? I think this is the only boss, or the only 2 in the game so far.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we kill this scary thing.
I was using Vortex on that, and that ripped it apart. That's Alice's one of her techniques. And also, by now you've got like Crosscut by Chaz, and that does tons of damage too.
That's right. And then there are hurt like scientists laying on the floor, and they tell you that the professor has gone inside.
Oh, Professor, we told you not
Yeah.
to.
So we follow him in there, and you find like all of these advanced computers and scanners and things.
Is this where Han / Jim Banks says that he really needs you to go help rescue him. And then she's like, I'll only do it for 1,000 macetas. And he's like, my wedding fund.
Yeah, he says, oh, my wedding fund.
Yeah, man. She's trying to stop this guy's wedding.
Guy.
Mm-hmm.
She is. Or she just doesn't care.
Yeah, I think she just likes money.
She's a real mercenary.
Exactly. Fortune and glory, kid. Fortune and glory.
So, John, did you think, or Vanessa, I guess, since you guys both played it, did you guys find the bioplant to be difficult?
No. I thought it was cool.
No.
The music is
cool.
actually dungeon music from Phantasy Star 1, which is awesome.
Oh.
And the crash technique that Grizz has, for whatever reason, he's real good at killing robots, and all his techniques are stuff that kills robots. Like Crash will kill a robot instantly, no matter what.
Is that what it will do?
Yeah, it's useful.
Because I was trying to use it on other things, and it didn't seem to do anything.
It kills robots.
Okay.
Because the main two classes of enemies in Phantasy Star 2 and 4 are robots and biological creatures. So you have a lot of techniques that only work on biological creatures and a lot of techniques that only work on robots.
I mean, what else is there really besides robots or biological creatures?
It's true now that you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're told that, so we go through the bioplant, we eventually meet the professor again. We find him at the end of the bioplant.
Mm-hmm.
And we also meet a little lady named Rika.
Rika?
Who's actually really polite, and I think she says something like, I'm happy to like have you in my bioplant or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
She's delighted that they're here in Birth Valley, which is not a valley.
Nope. It turns out it's actually a biological processing center where it controls crops and stuff for the planet.
And you get sterilized.
Yay! No one's getting prego in Birth Valley.
Mm-hmm. Did we mention that the first thing that happens when you walk in there's a flash of red light, and then you can go read a computer panel, and it says sterilization process complete. Okay to proceed.
And the guys are cringing, and Alice is like, "Ugh, men are such cowards." Am I right, ladies? Don't even get me started.
You said it.
Snap, snap, snap. Yeah, so you meet this computer.
Yeah, and the computer, there's a lot of
Seed.
exposition that happens right here.
Yep.
So, but the computer whose name is Seed tells you that it created Rika, and that you need to shut down all of these systems that were designed to maintain the planet but are now malfunctioning.
Right.
And you also need to find and rescue another robot named Demi.
Yep.
Because Demi's the only one that can shut down the big old robot.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And you need to go to another plant, which is the power plant for all these things, called Nurvus.
Right. That's the central processing area.
Yes.
It's the nervous system
Yeah.
of the machine.
And Seed is basically saying the downside of all this is once you shut down all these plants, Motavia will turn back to a desert for real. There is no stopping this decline. But on the plus side, there'll be less monsters.
Yeah. So you're told that Demi is being held captive by Zio. Are we calling him Zio or Zio?
Let's go Zio. I'll try to remember that.
Okay.
I won't
So
remember.
Zio has kidnapped and is keeping captive Demi in that castle that's across the quicksand.
Yeah, from Mile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from Mile. And so we got to go. That's the next objective.
Mm-hmm.
Is to find and free Demi. And so everybody, including Rika, leaves the bioplant.
And she's never seen
And-
blue sky before because she's never
Yeah.
left. I really
And
like this
as-
anime archetype of the innocent girl who hasn't seen anything, and it's everything's new and interesting to her. It's sort of like Ariel when she leaves the underground. What is this thing called? Legs? You know, she's doing the whole Little Mermaid.
Mm-hmm.
And one hilarious thing that happens is as you leave, I don't know if it self-destructs or if it just explodes.
It self-destructs.
But Seed explodes, and Rika starts to get upset about it. And they're like, "Wait, just don't look at it." And she's like, "Oh, okay."
Well, that's her father computer, and it blew it himself up. How did you not know it's self-destructed? It like cuts back to it, and he's like,
all the screens turn red.
Yeah, he's like, "I have to do this. Goodbye." Like, yeah.
Why did he have to do that though?
Because he is wrecking. He's causing collapse.
He's creating monsters.
Yeah,
right?
He's creating monsters and causing the collapse. He has to blow itself up, and
Gotcha.
Father Computer goes bluey.
That seems like a big design flaw in those computers is when they malfunction, a bunch of monsters come out.
Uh-huh.
But anyways, we leave, and that's the end of this episode.
Yep.
That's it.
Goodbye to Seed. Hello to Cat Girl, who I guess is the ultimate form of biological life.
Oh, yeah.
Is she biological?
Yep. Yeah, she's a bioconstruct.
Yeah, Seed talks about how it took like 1,000 years to perfect the design, basically.
Oh,
right?
that's right. Well, cool. That's where we're stopping at today.
Uh-huh.
And next episode, we are going to play up to the point where we grab the Psycho Wand and enter Nurvus.
Ooh. Grab that
I'm
Psycho Wand.
nervous about what comes next.
But before we do that, John, were there any mini games you wanted to talk about?
I don't think there are any mini games. It's a very streamlined JRPG without like crafting or mini games or any of that extraneous stuff.
Figuring out what's happening in this game is a mini game. For a while, I thought that they were wearing Krabbin helms and Krabbin shields and things, and then I realized the game meant carbon.
Yeah. There's carbon suits, graphite, titanium. I would love to see this game translated well, because I think it's got an interesting story that has been very poorly translated.
It's nice. It's fun to be playing something that, I mean, it definitely feels like an old RPG, which is what it is.
Yeah.
And there's just no way getting around that.
Yeah. And I love the manga cutscenes were super unusual at the time.
They're really well done.
Yeah. The lead designer, Riko Kodama, she did a lot of the art as well. She is an artist.
Are we rating any hunks on this episode?
No, I think we're going to take a break from rating hunks. Do you want to rate a babe?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good segment. Jim, do you want to rate a babe?
I'll rate a babe.
Rate a babe.
Can we start with Alice?
Of course.
Because she's not only strong-willed and smart, she's also got some good measurements.
And the biggest anime hair maybe ever?
Yes, I love when she's attacking and you get to see like her big 80s hair.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
She has a lot of volume, a lot of mass. She's got very thick hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I like how it's she just kind of lets it go.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of messy. It's big.
She's wearing that circlet around her forehead that I quite like.
Mm-hmm.
It's very. You don't see that. That seems like a fashion thing that not in vogue right now. Only in like Lord of the Rings movies do you see that.
It's also, I like the fact that she throws a boomerang, which makes her nickname the 8-Stroke Warrior make even less sense.
It's true.
Because she doesn't use a sword, she throws a boomerang.
That's a good point,
not
actually.
Stroking anything.
Well, then I think that it's pretty clear that Vanessa was right, huh?
Or she throws 2 boomerangs.
Guys, I found a map. Not a map. I found the game manual for fucking Phantasy Star IV.
Yay!
And I gotta tell you something. It was not easy, and I ended up downloading it off of a fucking, like, Russian or some Eastern European fucking torrent site, and I was real iffy about it. But I'm looking at it right now, and it looks good. It's got limited warranty information.
Excellent.
Is that it?
All right, well, yeah, so Alice, I'll give her, this is going to be out of 10. She's going to get a solid 8.5 out of 10.
Ooh, I wonder if any ladies will beat her. That seems pretty high.
It is
pretty high.
I think very strongly of Alys.
Her thigh-high white boots are high fashion. I think her red tunic-y space jumpsuit thing is rad. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She's got some nice armor.
Yeah, some good gloves that match her boots.
Mm-hmm.
She is a well-designed character.
And she uses 2 boomerangs, which is great.
That is cool. I like, I did not expect to see a character in this game throw a boomerang. So yeah, that is are we calling it Rita Babe?
Yeah, Rita Babe.
That's the Rita Babe for this episode.
I'm sure that
All right.
that will bring in some real creepos in the what do you call that, SEO?
Yeah.
The SEO will bring in a high creepo dynamic.
Hey, man.
So
That's what
as
we're
part
missing.
of our...
Creeps.
Yeah. So let's talk about what we are squarely against.
All right.
Yeah, let's do that.
Vanessa, why don't you go first?
I am squarely against digging around in people's underwear and feeling like you need to comment on that. And I'm also squarely against creepy old owls memorizing humans' measurements. It's very strange. It's not cool. Everybody needs to chill.
Mm-hmm.
John, what are you squarely against?
I'm squarely against the translation in this game, which I think kind of ruins a lot of what probably is more interesting dialogue. And this was back in the era where translators couldn't add more dialogue boxes, and basically Japanese takes a third of the space of English, so they had to compress a lot of the script down to get it to fit into the same boxes. Nowadays, you can add more boxes and make as much script as you want, but back then they were very, very limited. So it had to really reduce the information given. This is a problem you'll see in Secret of Mana and Final Fantasy IV especially.
What about now there is the 3DS or DS remake of Final Fantasy IV. If we were playing that, that's the version I would be playing. I wonder if the translation is different. It would be, right?
Yeah, totally. The translation between Final Fantasy IV on the Super Nintendo and either the GBA or the DS is night and day. Like,
wow.
Crazy different.
All right.
Matthew, what are you squarely against?
You know what? I'm rally for the interesting things that this game does that I have not seen in other games, or the way things are handled that make a lot of sense to me that I like. That I kind of had to trial and error figure out. But for instance, the talk option that always kind of lets you know what to do and where to go.
I always forget to use that, and it's super useful. It tells you what the next place is.
That's all I ever want is just to fucking tell me which way I got it. Like, what town am I going to, or what? Okay. And I like the idea of the macros. That's really smart. It's really interesting. I don't know. I'm interested in this game.
Yay!
We'll see.
Yay!
I think Jim is the only one left.
Mm-hmm.
Jim, how did you level up?
I want to reactively say that I'm squarely against the systems in this game not being very well explained. But now that you guys have told me how they work, I want to say I'm roundly for those systems. Because they all seem very useful. And once you kind of figure out what the words mean, everything starts to make sense. And I think it adds a lot of fun stuff to the combat.
Yeah. Definitely check. There's no spoiler for checking out both what spells and techniques do and the combination list, because the combinations are really fun. Like, definitely look into those because those are awesome and they look cool.
Yeah, because I just haven't been using them because I'm very confused.
Yeah, just look it up. It's fine.
Okay.
All right, everyone. Well, that is it for this week's episode of Square Roots. Stay tuned next week for part 2 of our Phantasy Star IV series. Again, we are playing from where we left off after the bioplant to where we grab the Psycho Wand and enter Nurvus.
Mm-hmm.
Nervous.
I am anxious to try it.
Oh. Oh. That was very clever.
As always, just a quick reminder to everyone that we do have an email address. It is squarerootspodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like, come see us at our Facebook group. That is the Square Roots Podcast group for smart, cool, very attractive people. Or you can tweet at us. We are at Square Roots Pod.
Our theme song for this series is by Sharp Rain Music. Check out their YouTube for tons of awesome video game covers and more. Please rate, review, and subscribe on Google Play, iTunes, or whatever. That's a good way for the show to be discovered. I have to trawl through and put some reviews on so I can tell you how you leveled up, but I keep forgetting before we record, and because I can't see the American one, so I have to get other people to do it for me.
All right, everyone, that's it for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. For Square Roots, I am Jim Banks.
I'm Matthew Van Zant.
I am John Brandon.
And I'm Vanessa.
Bye.
Do you think if Han had done that, his parents wouldn't have disowned him?
Probably. They probably would have been like, oh, what a sensible, fiscally sound young man we have. And maybe he could have, like, picked up just as an extracurricular, like, smithing at community college to make his parents happy.
Why do you think they, like, do you think that was an extreme reaction? Disowning your child because he wants to become a scientist?
Did they disown him? I thought he just said disinherited.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
He says that he's not getting any money from the family business when they die because he has his own career now. And you know what? He probably doesn't need that blacksmith money. He's got that sweet salary that every university professor gets.
Oh, yeah.
Rolling in the dough at $30,000 a year. Cha-ching.
All right.
I'm sorry. I'm distracted. There's fucking like a marching band outside.
What?
A marching band?
What are you talking about?
There's really a marching band outside? That's cooler than what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
It is. Why is there a marching band outside your house?
I want to know more.
You know, they just come by about, I'd say once or twice a week just to let me know that I'm loved.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Do they play Hail to the Chief?
No, that would be stupid. We play Rise of the Valkyrie, and it's
Oh.
the long version.
Oh.
That's pretty cool.
Rise of the Valkyrie is a pretty string-heavy piece. It seems unusual for a marching band.
Hey, you don't know my life.